Steve, I mean, and Steve and I worked really well together. So we he decided that we're going to keep doing this. And then Chagall was still on hiatus. So Steve decided he was going to do a solo record. And we went in and did 3 songs to pitch, or 2 or 3 songs to try to get a deal, because he didn't have a deal. So we do these demos and I mix them and everything. And then he gets a deal and we go in and we record a whole record again with Steve. Yeah. And then at that point, I can tell you, after the first record, the Newsboys record, before we jumped in and started Steve's solo record, Steve went over the budget with me and he goes, "Hey, I'm looking back at the budget and I'm trying to figure out how next time we do another record, how we could be a little smarter and put money in better places to make either it easier for us or the record better or whatever." And he looked, and we had spent $12,000, I think, in equipment rental throughout that record, renting vocal mics and renting different pieces of gear and all this kind of stuff. So when it was time to do his record, he goes, "You know what? Why don't you take that $12,000, buy the gear, we'll co-own it, and let's do a record without renting anything." So we did that, and I bought a GML EQ that I still use all the time today. Bought a Sony C800G that I still use all the time. Bought a Hardy M1 mic pre that I still use today, and all this gear that I still use all the time now was bought for that record. And then we start the next record. We do the same thing again and start buying some more gear. And I'm trying to think what record. That was Steve's record. We did that. Well, then it was the next record, I guess, which was another Newsboys record called Going Public. And that was what Steve was talking at that point. We did the same thing and looked at budget again. And he said, "Man, we spent this much money on a studio. Would it make sense for us to try to get into a studio situation?" So I was like, "Well, maybe so." So we started. I was looking at buying a house anyway. So the carport, which was my home-based studio for how many years? From 94 to 22 years. It was my home base studio. Steve and I were partners originally, and we built it, and we did it solely to do that record. And I mean, we paid for a big chunk of the studio with that one record, and had all the gear and everything paid for within just a few years.